I was on a nature hike the other day and I was astonished of all the beauty that you can find in the wild.
Bruh.
Like this tree I came across. Isn't it beautiful? This all really made me want to go back inside and play Resident Evil. Jokes aside, last year, around this time, Re-builds built this item box from Resi1. It was also his first video, and it's high time he makes another one. And since I'm using this one to hold my paintbrushes, I think it's a cool idea to turn the new one into a functioning and refillable tissue box. After extrapolating measurements from a tissue box, I cut the pieces out of foam board. Why foam board? I'll tell you that later. The only special cut I made was a bevel cut, or an angle cut, along the sides of each piece. This will help make each edge come together more smoothly. I added some wood sticks on the very top for a bit of strength. With the box together, we can focus on creating the pattern, and the only way I found to make such a detailed pattern is to think bricks. The way to make bricks, or brick walls, is to cut the brick pattern in with a knife and pencil, as seen here in my Re4 maze video. Well, we can apply this to make a different pattern. By changing the angle of the ruler, I was able to cut in the pattern into the foam. I lightly, let me put the emphasis on lightly, scored in very small lines, and once I was done going from one corner to the next, I switched to the opposite corner and scored in more lines, once again going across from the top corner to the bottom corner. Then I took a dotting tool and ran it through each line to make them more visible to the eye, and more importantly, the camera. The pattern was done and it came out surprisingly close to the original, which made me very happy. Oh, if you think making this pattern was time consuming, try doing it for all four sides of the box like I did. Next I gave it a Mod Podge bath, because admittedly it was feeling a bit flimsy, and the Mod Podge will give it some strength, and the bath will prepare the foam for painting later. To create the metal, chassis, I guess, I'm using yogurt plastic. I use this stuff on a lot of things, and it's become my go-to material when I require a metal look. It is, however, tricky to work with. It requires vigorous sanding before painting, and a perfect measuring to look good. But if you're like me, who don't mind if the measuring is a little off, then it's really good stuff. Out of this plastic sheet, I created 3 sets of 4 cut pieces that are 3 different sizes. Confused yet? These L-shaped pieces are going to surround the box, acting as the metal chassis. Making them was as simple as brain surgery. I made 2 measurements. The first one was a 1/2 centimeter, and the second one was a full centimeter. Then I lightly scored the 1/2 centimeter line, not cutting it all the way through, mind you. And once the piece was cut to size, I bent the L shape in following the 1/2 centimeter line. And there you have it. Simple, wasn't it? Starting with the corners, I glued each piece with PVA glue, letting it dry completely before moving. Once dry, I added just some filler pieces to keep everything nice and level. Next, I placed the side top pieces, and the only interesting thing I did was cut notches in the top part, so the front pieces can sit level. Speaking of front pieces, here they are. A pro tip, if you're using slow dry glue like Taika glue, use clamps so you don't have to hold it for hours. Once everything dried, it looks like this. Very nice start to our item box / treasure box. Oh, by the way, if you want a more traditional item box shape, I included both set of measurements for the boxes in the description. Moving on, I found that the box was a little too flimsy still, probably because we weakened the foam with all that cutting and scoring earlier. No matter, we can strengthen it with crafting sticks placed around the inside. Next on the to-do list is the handly part, and junk is the choice material. I'm using this banana bread container for the handly part. This part inside is the object of our desires. Looking at it, you can see that it's almost a perfect shape. It just needs a little reshaping, and scissors can handle that part. Once reshaped, I reinforced it with more yogurt plastic, and before moving on, I drilled holes on each side for the handle that we will make later.
Boom!
After cutting the hole, I glued the piece in place. If you were wondering, I didn't measure this before I cut the hole, I just lined it up by eye, or in other words, guessed. But it looks pretty straight, so yeah, Re-builds' eyes are very accurate. Maybe even more accurate than math? The next thing I did was glue on some cross-stitch canvas strips all around the box for extra detail and a nice change from the yogurt plastic. Finally, I took some small strips of plastic and superglued 2 of them on each bottom corner to not only add some cool detail, but to also cover up some hideous gaps that were bothering me. Okay, we have reached the point where the box is done structurally, and we can now move on to detailing. So enjoy this short montage of rhinestone rivet action. As for the top of our box, I started with foam board cut slightly smaller than the box itself, then I strengthened it with crafting sticks. To make this top into a tissue dispenser, we need a hole, and what could be better than using a tissue box for the template? With the hole cut, I made the pattern as before, then gave it a Mod Podge bath, then gave it the old plastic treatment, and it was done, right? No! After consulting the reference picture, I needed to make it a little thicker. How much thicker? About a sheet of foam board. Did you catch that big brain move there? I used the top edge of the yogurt container to make the hole look smoother than it really was. Alright, the top is done. It does need hinges and a few other nabby bits, but we'll take care of that later. Let's move on. Next is the painting, and usually Re-builds makes a mess of it. However, the paint job could not be easier. Black, that's all it is. So I can't possibly screw it up, right? I started with jet black base coat. It would be easier and frankly better to use black primer for the base, but the pattern that I scribed into the foam was too delicate for a harsh spray painting, so as a coward I just used acrylic paint. The next paint I used was this beautiful black metallic extreme sheen. It's a beautiful metallic that I haven't used yet, so Re-builds was excited. But he practiced restraint and only applied it to the metal chassis. Boy, does that look good. I believe I've already expressed how much I love metallics in the past, so I'll just say the painting was done. We're almost ready to wrap it up. We just have to do the nabby bits. We need to create this plastic part so our tissue box will function right. And I had 1 or 2 ideas, but the best and easiest way to do it, and also the sneaky way to do it, is just take the one from the store-bought tissue box. I cut it to shape and glued it on, and Re-builds is sneaky smart sometimes. It worked perfectly. Next we need some hinges, and what better way to get small hinges than the dollar store? Huh? Clay Miku? What are you doing in there? Do you want to apologize for what happened last time, maybe? Say hello to my little friend! Oh my gosh! They're not the right color, and truthfully I could have painted them, but nah, we'll leave them alone. They're nice just the way they are. The very last thing I did was make the handle. I started with a small dowel, then I drilled 2 holes in it, then I took this paper clip and shaped it into a U shape before supergluing it to the dowel. I gave it a quick silver metallic bath, and then I slotted it into the holes we drilled earlier, and it was done, which means we have reached full box. But will the stack of tissues fit? They fit. That's great news. But will it work? Well, look at that. It works. I'm pretty happy. Roll the beauty shots. Okay guys, that's it for this build. I hope you enjoyed this Resi build because I enjoyed making it. I haven't made anything from the Resi franchise lately, but just you wait, I got a lot more coming. If you like this video, give it a like, and if you not already, please consider subscribing. That little Resident Evil 4 montage I put in the beginning was my favorite part of this video. The remix Shooting Range song is an absolute banger. I've been listening to it since I got the game, and I just wanted you all to know that. Alright Resi fans, always be kind and rewind, and I'll see you in the next one.